Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Joe from Cincinnati. Uh, I got here, so I spoke to a guy named Chris Pottorf. He's a relatively well-known person in the community, I think. He has his YouTube channel Fro Ttop on video, where he posts videos of himself playing games and everything. So he challenged me, or I challenged him, or we decided to play a couple games. The original talking point was, he doesn't think Way of the Crab is all that great, I suppose, and I do. So we played some games to kind of test the theory behind it. So I have four games here. Unfortunately, I was planning on just posting the raw games because we were on voice chat. But OBS decided that it didn't want to record his voice very loud. It was like you could barely hear him in the very, very background, which was frustrating because there was a lot of good banter. Chris is just a good guy. Overall, he's just a very nice person to talk to, very, very funny, very animated. And when he gets mad at stuff, it's funny because in some of these games he gets frustrated and his reactions, they're not like annoying like a lot of people's reactions to bad stuff are. They're actually really funny the way he reacts to things going poorly for him. So anyway, I'm playing my crab unicorn deck. He is playing crane. It ended up being a crane unicorn deck. I was expecting like crane dragon or maybe crane scorpion. Those two seem to be the most popular uh, crane decks right now, but I guess with Doji Representative, everyone's testing this unicorn. They really want to see if the Spyglass and the Representative hold weight, and unicorn cards are just good cards in general. Just being able to declare conflicts and draw cards and then send them back in and draw more cards. It's just a good little combo you got there. So anyway, this is the first game we played. We played four games total. They're all going to be on this one video because a lot of them are relatively short. Uh, when it became clear who's going to win, either I or he would concede and we just move to the next game. So a couple of the games were like 20 minutes long, things like that. And with my acceleration ability, since I'm once again reviewing these games on the back end rather than talking during them, which is what I wanted to do, this should be like a relatively long video, but not anything out of the realm of watchability in one sitting. Maybe like an hour to an hour and a half, something along those lines. People make podcasts that are longer than that, so I feel pretty good about it. So my starting hand is perfect. It's an assassination, a spyglass, or a reprieve, and a way the crab. So if I want to, I can way the crab, assassinate them in this turn. If I don't want to, I can go about doing other things that I want to do. So we draw three each. I got a rebuild, which is great because I have a favorable ground. I have a fine katana, and I have a goblin sneak. So, once again, I start with the high-low, 3 with 2, 1 with nothing. It's an intimidating Hida and a Caillou envoy this round. And I have in my holdings or in my provinces a favorable ground and a vanguard warrior. So I immediately put the spyglass onto my intimidating Hida. To be perfectly honest, I was expecting him to let it go because, like I said, this is the first game. Um, I was expecting him to be running dragon, as many crane do. But that's fine. It's also a thing that you can do is not do that. So he declares a political void. He wants to just deny me the void ring because I have a guy with two fate on him. I'm not really worried about losing him this round. But with him, the void ring means that he can keep one of his characters around. So he runs into. Is that shameful? I think it's shameful. He runs into a shameful display, I think. Yeah, shameful display. So I defend with both of my guys. Then I draw the card. And I shameful those two. So I'm currently winning 3 to you know 1, I think. 2, 3 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 2, 4 to 2. Okay. All right. So I just decide to go home. He's not gonna break. I just wanted to get that honor token. And he undishonors his person. So here's what I do now. I just say like, okay, well, you bowed my guy. That's fine. I'm going to weigh the crab and make you make a decision. Do you want to keep the guy at home or do you want to break the province? And he decides to keep the guy. And then it's like, all right, well, then I assassinate that guy. So I could have done it either way. I kind of wanted to give him a choice between the two, see which one that he wanted to do, just to gauge his intentions. If he weighed the crab his attacker away, then I would have just let it be, and I would have just waited another round, or I would have waited until he attacked the next time to decide if I wanted to assassinate. I had an honored guy, so I wasn't worried about it being canceled or anything like that. He rallied to the cause, so I draw another card, which is a captive audience, which is great for rally to the cause. So, he court games my guy down to a non-honored, which is fine. It's my 3. He thinks that that's going to stop the break, but I'm just like, well, I think what I do. I'm trying to decide, like, do I just back out and wait? Do I just rebuild the favorable ground, back out, and just see what he does on offense, or do I just flip it? I just decide to flip it. I'm like, if he had a political rival, he can no longer use it, but he had a steward. That's fine. So he has 1 strength in it. I just attach a sword because I want to break. But then I realized, oh, he sent that guy home. That guy was at home, not at the province. So that's fine. I'm breaking the province. I'm getting rid of the Brash Samurai, which is a really annoying card to deal with. So I'll just do that. In response, he has the potential of possibly breaking my shameful display, which, while a bummer, isn't the worst thing in the world. I draw my 3rd assassination, which honestly at that point is getting a little excessive. I would have preferred a charge to charge in the Vanguard Warrior to save the province, but you can't always get what you want. So what I could have done here is I could have rebuilt the favorable ground onto the shameful display to keep it from breaking, and I was thinking about that. But it's a good play trick, and I just wanted to save it for later in the game. I didn't want to do that right away. Maybe I should have or could have, but I just decided that it was better to keep that favorable ground trick up my sleeve for later in the game in case I needed it, instead of just using it as like an artificial like +1 province strength event card. So here we go. I get a Steadfast Witch Hunter, which is my favorite card in the deck. And then I have 2 holdings, so I have another favorable ground, so that would have been a bad idea to bring up the favorable ground and then only potentially have 1 guy to buy, which is Casada. Wouldn't have been awful, but it's just how things go sometimes. So, all right. Now he bought that. I'm going to steal his spyglass and give it to my Steadfast Witch Hunter. Now I do that because he has 1 fate and I have a Goblin Sneak in hand, so I can just take that fate right back off of him whenever I want to. So he Mia Mysticked his own spyglass, and he's like, this seems like a good use of 2 fate. So, alright, here we go. We're thinking. I'm trying to decide, like, there's not anything that out of Crane Unicorn, there's nothing for 1 fate that I'm worried about when I'm attacking. So do I just go with an all-in attack right now and then use the goblin to take his fate and then stand up uh, someone with the witch hunter. And then he Way the Cranes that guy, and then gets a free thing there. That's all fine. That's what Crane does. Political or savvy politician is just really good at just really spreading that wealth around. So I'm going with the Void Military, get his board cleared once again, and I get another fate just for the effort. Um, he charges in Hotaru, which is interesting. You know, I have another captive audience from that spyglass, which is hilarious because captive audience is just crazy good against um, Crane. So now I have plenty of military strength to his 3 military strength. And so he spent the 1 fate, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. He's probably going to want to do a conflict with a fate back, and then that's when I can goblin sneak that fate away from him. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm getting that fate off of him. Or he just takes a ring that doesn't have fate, then I don't need to steal anything from him. So he's just going to be operating with 0 fate. Either way, his plans of having that 1 fate or not having that 1 fate are not going to happen. So he honors her. With shameful. And then I flip it again. Oh, no, I don't. Hold on. What did I do? I just won. I won but didn't break. Sorry. And now he's doing a big old military on Casada. Which is a shame for me because, again, I did a Void Ring when I had a high priority card on Meditations on the Tau. I should have just foreseen that. This is something that I do a little too often, I feel like, where I don't think to look at my provinces and the things that are sitting on my provinces until it's too late. So I play the Goblin Sneak, take the fate back from him. He makes another comment about like, oh yeah, that's fantastic. Like I appreciate that so much. Now the decision is what do I have to do to get out of this mess? He's got a pretty big thing rearing down on me. I don't have a charge. Still don't have a charge, even though I run 3 of them. It seems like a good card in this scenario. But he's got a big old attack coming at me. I actually initially thought it was political, and that's why I was playing with that captive audience. But then I was like, oh, I see what he's doing. He's doing the water ring so he can stand Hotaru, and then he can, sorry. And then you can attack political, get the double trigger with her. So I move in the Intimidating Hida to draw a card from the Spyglass, which is a fair play. I think what I want to do is I just want to stand it up. I might not even bother standing it up. Yeah, I just let him break the province. I'm down 2 provinces to 1 at this point. It's not looking great, to be honest, but his board is going away at the end of this round, and my board is just not going anywhere. So I am going to stand the Intimidating Hida. And then I put a Watch Commander, Watch Commander on him. So he's now not being able to, he can't be bowed by that whole thing. So I do a fire political with him so he can't be bowed. I break his province and then I dishonor Hitaru. That way he can't break immediately. If I do switch it. So it's Route of the Cause, so I just flip it and it's a military. I didn't even have to use my captive audience. So now I have 7 honor to his 6 honor. He's not breaking, so I just let it go. And now I decide, I think I'm going to keep that just in case. I know he runs Unicorn, so I know he has spyglasses in there. I may just deter him from playing those. I have a good board, and this is the part where I was like, "Oh man, I don't have a Way of the Crab," because this is a situation where Way of the Crab would be fantastic, where he's obviously playing. He can only afford one guy, and that one guy he is a big guy. So if I had Way of the Crab, yeah, I'd probably give up the dishonored, intimidating he to get rid of his one power guest of honor. Or since he can't afford to buy anything, I just buy like a courtier and then get rid of him. So it's like there's never a bad time for Way of the Crab, especially when you are pressuring your opponent's board, making it so that you're prioritizing the Void Ring, getting their characters off the board, choking their fate so they can't buy as many characters, uh, so that you can, or they can't put as much fate on their characters, so that you can always be in a situation where Way of the Crab is strong. It just so happens that I just didn't have Way of the Crab at this time. I used one early on to get rid of a 2 cost with 1 fate. It wasn't a bad play, but wouldn't have been as good. It wasn't as good as what this play would have been. But you can't play like that. You play in the moment to an extent, uh, and at that time it felt the right decision to get rid of his 1 fate uh, political or savvy politician in that scenario, because then I got a free attack, etc., etc. You saw it. So, but he still has one guy to my 4. He has 3 fates, so he might have a political rival. He might have a little thing, whatever they called. But no matter what happens here, I have a significant advantage. And as you can see, the video is only 2 minutes longer. I think he just concedes. Um, I draw a card, I get an Ornate Fan. There's very little he can do about this. I controlled his board so well early on, and everything that there's no way he can reasonably defend any conflicts and attack any conflicts predictably, and it just was a very downhill game for him once I was able to clear his entire board. The Hotaru running into Ride of the Cause didn't help either. So he passed. I'm winning. And decide, like, do I want to mountain my guy? Not really. I don't need him. I don't need the defender to be in. He brings in a little 1 cost chutter, which is okay. Now at this point I have a few options. Um, I can do the air ring and deny him fate, and then I can play the goblin sneak so he has 0 fate. And I think that's ultimately what I end up doing. Yeah. So I draw more cards. Do 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 do. Winning this handily. And then what I do? What happened? Oh yeah, I assassinated his little steward-in-law. And that's the point at which he conceded. So that was game 1. Um, Now we can go on to game 2. So that last game actually drew like a relatively large crowd. It was like 7, maybe 8 spectators, which is, relatively surprising. I don't know if it was, we were joking. Chris was like, "Oh, we see Joe from Cincinnati in the game, and suddenly 8 people want to spectate." But he has just as many videos on YouTube, and I think that he's well known as well, considering he has his Fro Ttop on video YouTube channel that has like 500 followers. So I think that he's I think it was like more. There was 2 people that are on YouTube and making videos that were playing against each other that drew a crowd rather than just one of us. Um, so this is the second game. We're playing the same decks. Uh, oh fuck! It opened in Windows Media Player. Sorry about this. I want to open it with VLC Media Player so that I have the speed up technique. Haha. There we go. So same setup as before, Ancestral Grounds under the Stronghold, which is just great. Now here I have a bunch of, I like the Vanguard Warrior, but I kind of want to see if I can get a 1 cost. I think I'm just going to remove these three guys. And then I did get a high and a low and a holding. So that was pretty nice. And then I have a Uchi Wayfinder as well, which is even better. Because that guy's a one-cost guy that I can play with my Witch Hunter and just sacrifice a card. And just feel really good about it. So I keep the Goblin, the Wayfinder, and a Spyglass, and I pick up a Bonsai, which is not bad. I play my Witch Hunter with 2 on it, and then he plays his Doji Challenger with 1, so he has 0 fate, and then I pass. And he's just like, oh, god damn it. Like, I could have bought that Vanguard Warrior, but I didn't need to because I had this Aiuchi Wayfinder. Now, I don't know what his mindset was at this point, but at this, I don't know if he knew for a fact that I had a character in my hand that I could play to sacrifice out for the Witch Hunter, but I imagine he suspected heavily that I did, because he's really, the Witch Hunter is really only as good as having, bait to get rid of when you need to. So he's attacking Void. I defend because, sure. He has 0 fate, so I don't have to worry about like an emit defeat or anything like that. So what I do here? I assassinated his other character because fuck him, right? Like, that's the thing, is like, he's about to bow his only character. I'm about to have my only character standing. He has no fate. Of course I bow that guy. And then I even win on defense so far. And then he does weigh the that. Now see, once again he did do Void once again to deny me Void. You know what I mean? If I got Void off of on his Doji Challenger and cleared her out, that would suck for him. So it was definitely a good idea for him to go Void, but it just didn't matter all that much to me. Getting 1 less fate on my Wayfinder. I have Reprieves, I have Vanguard Warriors. He's not going anywhere this round. So I reveal a Fertile Fields under Hotaru, which is not the worst thing in the world for me. I don't care. I don't mind that at all. So let's see what I do. He has no fate, no character standing, no anything. I don't have to worry about basically anything. If I recall, I was relatively concerned about running into Route of the Cause. So I was trying to decide, like, do I attack the Fertile Fields, give him a fate, and then that opens the possibilities for stupid stuff to happen, or do I go searching for something and get a Rally to the Cause or something along those lines. So I ultimately decide I don't want to give him a fate. I don't want to risk him having a steward and then he can defend again, and etc. 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 So I just go digging, and I think that's Shameful Display. So I find Shameful Display, which is fantastic for me. I free break it. He can't do anything with it. And then I just stand my Witch Hunter again. He has to pass because he doesn't have any characters. Then I declare another free ring. This time, do I go with fire? Yeah. I go with fire just so that his character is no longer honored. A 5/5 is annoying. And then he gets Manicured Garden. I was looking for the Rally to the Cause. He gets Manicured Garden to draw a card, or to gain a fate, and then he plays a Wayfinder with that and the fate, which is like, I'm kind of bummed because that's just not what you want. I'm looking at my cards like, did I play Assassination yet this round? So he saves it. He had a Bonsai of his own and everything like that. So I win, but I don't break, which is a shame. I think I said, like, man, that sucks that I hit the one that gives you 2 fate. And he was just like, oh, you mean you didn't happen to just break 2 provinces on turn 1? I feel so bad for you. So I decide, like, do I want to keep Casada around? If I buy Casada, then I have 1 fate by passing. I didn't really want to do that. I want to see more relatively low-cost guys that synergize with the Witch Hunter, which I do. Haha. Wonderful. So I'm first player. I play a Kaio Envoy, which is just like the Witch Hunter and the Kaio Envoy are just like best friends forever, forever and ever. Um, he plays Doji Otaru, so he's obviously passing. I'm saying like right now I'm saying I think I should pass because I have Vanguard Warrior, but I also wanted to deny you a Fate. Well, I have a Goblin Sneak in hand, which I didn't tell him about, so I can always steal that past Fate back from him if I needed to, if I'm worried about what he's doing. And I have a okay, and I have that, so he passes, but I have 4 Fate, and I just go with the draw 3. Uh, I was having so much. I'm having so much success. And by the way, I'll pause it right here. In these games, I was actually bidding relatively moderately. Like I wasn't doing the one bid train that a lot of times I'm accustomed to doing, and that was only because I was so I was handling his board so well. Like at the end of this round, I'm gonna have the Vanguard Warrior can keep the Witch Hunter around, so I'll have the Witch Hunter again. He'll have Hotaru, and then these two clear out. And then I might have a Keeper, and I might have a Goblin Sneak, and I have 4 Fate to his 1. So I wasn't really all that concerned about uh, about honor. I could dishonor him if I wanted to, but I was having so much success controlling his board and breaking his provinces that I didn't really feel the need to. So I was just bidding. I wanted to see more cards. If I saw Way of the Crab, what I could do is like Vanguard Warrior, the Envoy, reprieve him, and then Way of the Crab in the Fate phase to remove that Hotaru with the Kaio Envoy. So there were options about what I could do, because right now he's in a very, very, very Fate phase dependent Way of the Crab position. It's just he does not have Way of the Crab. I don't have Way of the Crab. So, I ultimately ended up deciding, like, I'm going to keep my options open. We'll worry about that later. I'm going to attach the Spyglass. I want to see as many cards as I possibly can this round. If I can get Way of the Crab, that'd be fantastic. Um, I'm trying to decide, like, do I go and deny one of those Fates, and gain a Fate, obviously, or do I do Ring of Earth to draw more cards, hopefully see a Way of the Crab, and then also get my Keeper out. So that was the decision I was trying to make here. Am I still recording? Yeah, I'm still recording. Okay. So I can I can water and knock his Doji Challenger down, get a Fate, or I can Earth, and then worry about it later. What do I end up doing here? Trying to decide. I end up going Military Water, or Military Earth. With those two there, get the 2 card draw, and look at that, it's the Way of the Crab. That's nice. So now my options are open. I can possibly do that whole thing that I was telling you about if I wanted to. He does Manicured Gardens, though, so he gets another Fate, so I'm losing a little bit of control over his Fate, but if I can pull off the Hotaru Way of the Crab, then it's okay. So I'm attacking with those 2 right now. Right now we have 14 spectators, 13 spectators, so obviously people saw our game and wanted to watch, which is why I'm posting this now, is because it appeared to have some interest from the people who were on Jigoku last night. So here we go. He did defend with the Doji Challenger, and he's attaching her up, which is fine with me. I pass. I'm winning but not breaking. I just draw a card, get my Keeper, discard a card from his hand. It was a charge, which is okay with me. I'm happy about that. He's probably hoping to charge in a representative, maybe. I'm not sure, but he can't do that now. His hand is down to 5 cards. I have 10 cards, and I think he's now discussing, conceding. Like he's discussing conceding at this point. I did sacrifice the Envoy to keep the Wayfinder, to stand up the Witch Hunter. I have 2 reprieves in hand, so I can reprieve both of them, and then Way the Crowd the Vanguard Warrior if I so choose. He's doing water, so I defend with my 2 guys. I'm winning, which is nice. And then he concedes, I think, is what he does there. Yeah, and then I tell him, like, what I was gonna do. I was gonna do reprieve on the Vanguard Warrior, reprieve on the Witch Hunter, and then weigh the crab during the Fate phase to kill Hotaru. So that's 3 Fate, 1, 2, 3 Fate. So it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen to him. He had 2 Fate. Maybe he had a Steward Wall in hand, but I can't say for sure. But that's what I was gonna do, and it was gonna work out pretty well. But he conceded, and we are on to the next game. So at this point, I'm up 2 games to none. Feeling pretty good. My strategies are working out really well. I'm choking his Fate properly. I'm controlling his board properly. Way of the Crab has made several instances of value. I think, yeah, so I see those 2 big guys a keeper. I just want to keep the Vanguard Warrior. And I mulligan. I get 2 envoys, a courtier, which I only run 1 of, by the way. Don't hate on it. And then the Vanguard Warrior. So, excuse me. That's the 4 cards that I have. And then he has a Hotaru, and then that guy. But I think he just buys. Yeah, he buys these 2. Now, this is something I noticed throughout the game: is he always buys with 1 Fate on them, which it just makes him really vulnerable to Ring of the Void. But I don't think he was worried about it necessarily. Look at that. I top decked 2 assassinations to go along with my Way of the Crab. So I play and sorry about this. I forgot to move my hand up into the upper area so I didn't have to scroll. Ugh. I wish it started up there. Stupid fucking thing. So I take control. I use the Goblin Sneak to take his only Fate from him, which he's like, oh yeah, that again. This whole thing. Then I do a Void with my 2 little weenie motherfuckers, my weak ass board state. So at this point I'm winning 2-0. And then I just said, like, I'm playing with house money, I'm up 2-0. Let's just assassinate your little guy. And he was like, I was like, let's see if you have the Voice of Honor. And he did. And he's just like, by the way, fuck you for having assassinate in your opening hand 3 games in a row. It worked out so well. So he's doing that old trick there that we've seen the last 2 games. Is he's charging in Hotaru. Then presumably he's going to do a water ring to stand her up by doing a military conflict, and then attacking with her in a political conflict. It's an extremely good combo play. In terms of value that you're getting out of your rings and your characters and your Fate and your cards, it's impressive. It's genuinely an impressive way of managing your cards. And I commend him for that. I think it's a really good strategy. So he's doing the military water, which we predicted as soon as he charged in the Hotaru, which we didn't really have anything we can do about it, though. So I defend. It's a meditation, so he makes a joke like, oh, I did all that work to defend the Void conflict, and then I lose the Fate on my guy anyway because of meditations. So, yeah, we're gonna keep going here. It's his 5 to my 2. It's not looking good for me at this point. I have a charge, but like I said, the only card I can charge is a Kai Envoy, which is a 1 strength charge. It doesn't do anything for me. So unfortunately, it's not looking good at this moment. I think I do just say, like, fuck it, let's just weigh the crab. Draw a card, gain a Fate, and he has to lose a guy with a Fate on him. Or he loses his representative, which may end up working out fine for me as well. So, I was hoping he would do the savvy politician, but he does do the representative. What I should have done is I should have weighed the crab first, um, and then taken the fate off the character that he did not weigh the crab. It was a rather large play mistake. This is what happens when I don't think through, like, what do I want to get done in this conflict? Like, how much am I willing to dedicate to this to make it work? You know what I mean? So it was unfortunate. I should have done it that way. I really should have, but I didn't. So but then alternatively, he makes a relatively big error here as well because he's now not breaking the province. He discarded his character that was winning him the province, and then he favorable grounds his only attacker home, meaning I won the water conflict, which means Hotaru's not standing, which means she's a dead card, which means she should have been the way of the crab target. I think we both were just not thinking through what's going to happen at the end of our decisions in this conflict, and it kind of spiraled into just we both made play mistakes that kind of canceled each other out. Of course, if you ask him, maybe he would still think it's the right decision. I don't know. I think that since he was planning on leaving anyway and not getting the water ring, then he may as well have gotten rid of Hotaru and just kept his two characters in the conflict and won. But then, of course, it becomes a little rabbit hole there. So he breaks Meditations in the Tao. I lose my Kaiu Envoy. That's fine. His Hotaru goes away. Now he has relatively huge hand advantage over me. Well, not huge. 7-4. He has honor advantage. He has a relatively good board state. Now, I did mention, like, man, if I could play Stoic Magistrates right now, they would be wonderful in this deck. Like, look at his board. He's got nothing but garbage out there. Nothing that's even worth dealing with. But I have to deal with it because I don't have Stoic Magistrate, because it technically wasn't legal on Jigoku at this point. It was Thursday, so it should have been, but it just wasn't. So, he was saying, like, okay, now's your time to play your second Assassinate that you got in your first starting hand, and I was like, oh no, you discarded that with the Ring of Air, with the Ring of Earth, and he was like, oh really? Oh fuck you! He was just so he was enjoying himself. At this point, he was starting to say, like, does Jigoku think that, like, you're their firstborn child? Why are they protecting you so much by giving you these god draws? So here's the point where I am trying to decide, who do I charge in? Do I charge in uh, Shuichi, or do I charge in the little guy? I didn't want to deal with the Yojimbo getting assassinated at that point because I wanted to win on defense. So he assassinates my other defender, which is a bummer, and then it mid defeats me. Uh, you know, these things happen. So I played that guy. I thought I played him in the conflict, but I actually played him at home. So now we're just like, I just have to move him into the conflict with manual mode. I learned that manual mode is a thing that you can just do stuff with, which is nice. So I'm preventing the break right now. But see, and then, okay. So it was a Ring of Fire. Let me rewind this a little bit. Oh, crap. So it was a Ring of Fire. I had this 2-Fate double Spyglass guy. And he noble sacrifices my guy, his honored piece of garbage, that he got to keep last round, by the way. He got to keep that last round because I misorganized my Way of the Crab Meditations on the Tau. If I had done it properly, that card would not have been on the board. So that's frustration number one. So he's doing a fire conflict. I had a reprieve in hand. You'll see once I play it again. When he was doing the Ring of Fire, I was like, okay, he probably wants to honor his attacker so that she can actually, perform in a conflict. That's fine. I don't mind that at all. That's something that we have to deal with. And then he dishonors my Steadfast Witch Hunter, at which point I was like, okay, well now I know what he's doing. I better play this reprieve with the one fate that I have. And then I realized he's first player, so right after the conflict, he has the first action, not me. So he dishonors my Steadfast Witch Hunter, and then immediately Noble sacrifices him before I had time to play this reprieve that was in my hand. That was, let's see here, 4 cost for him, 2 fate on him, and 2 spyglasses. He just removed 8 fate from the board. And this is a thing. Noble Sacrifice is really frustrating to play against because it's so easy for Crane to set up. They just have to play away the Crane on a piece of crap. They have to win a fire conflict. And then they have free reign to murder anything on the board. Which, if people are complaining about like Way of the Crab, that card is more busted than Way of the Crab. But yeah, he does that. And I'm up 2 games to nothing at this point. He has a better board state. I just lost 8 fate. He's doing some attack. He breaks another province, so he's up 2 provinces to nothing with a Hotaru coming out next round. I have no hand at all. I have a 0 hand. And he has 2 characters on the board to my 1. It's looking bleak. He has 7 cards in hand, which again, I'm sorry that I'm scrolling up and down. So I tell him, like, I think I want to concede. Let's see what's going on at the end of this round. He has such an enormous hand advantage at this point, and board advantage, and province advantage, and I think he might even have an honor advantage. So at this point, I just say, you know what? I could do I could play amazingly and still lose this game. So, in the interest of time, why don't we play a 4th game rather than finishing this game out? Let's just play a 4th game and see how that goes. And he agreed. So I'm 2-1 against him right now. Now this game is the longest game. This is a 46-minute game. It was by far the best, most balanced game of the 4. Those last 3 games, it seemed like one of us just took the game over through a combination of our opponent's play mistakes as well as just, non-ideal draws, non-ideal everything. So, God, I wish I moved that hand up. Anyway, I have a pretty decent board state at this point. Kaio Envoy, Vanguard Warrior. It's a really weenie deck start, but it's still a good bunch of weenies. I passed with 5 fate. I'm just playing for next round at this point. These are good ancillary cards, but it's not anything that I'm particularly interested in playing in, especially since he passed with the Cautious Scout on 1. So I'm passing. I'm thinking I'm just gonna assassinate that guy as soon as he attacks. Fuck him, right? But then he flips. What is this? Meditations on the Tao, right? Hold on. Yeah. So the interesting thing is at this point I'm 99.999999% sure he's holding a charge in his hand, because why would he pass with a Doji Challenger in there when he's been doing that and 2 Doji Otarus? So he's been playing this way for so long in these 3 games that at this point I'm he's definitely has a charge in his hand. So when his Cautious Scout attacks Meditations on the Tao, it's a blank province because that's what Cautious Scout does. If he were to charge a character in, then I can take the fate off his guy, and then his board is clearing at the end of the round, which he didn't want. So he made a comment, I already knew that he had charge in him, but I think he made a comment well, I guess now I'm not charging anyone to this conflict, haha. And it's yeah, I get that, because charging a guy into the conflict is great, but it would have made it so that I could Meditations on the Tao as Cautious Scout since he was no longer attacking alone. And then he only gets so much value out of it by breaking 1 province, and then I can come back and attack as well. So I just don't even defend. I figured if he does charge, well, I guess I do defend. Interesting. And then I play my Stronghold to win. To go up 3-2. Then he assassinates my Vanguard Warrior, which I'm okay with that. That's fine. I charge in my own Harumi Yojimbo, since he can no longer be assassinated. So now he's got to do some work, but then he just admit defeats. Fucking admit defeat, man. It's so annoying. So he's not breaking. He's winning, but not breaking. So I think at this point, I just decide to pass. Do I do that? Do I do that? He's getting water. He bows my guy, my little 1-0, which I'm fine with. That's something you can do if you really want to. And then I just... Do I pass? I just pass. Yeah. I don't have any characters in hand at the moment. I have 4 fate. I'm feeling pretty good going to the next round, anyway. By the way, Cautious Scout, very good card. I don't know why people don't run it. I think it's just great. When you can blank... Like, blanking provinces is good. I don't understand why so many Crane decks don't run him. He's just a good, solid card. Because right now, he'd be leaving. He should be leaving the board right now. But he's not because he blanked Meditations in the Tau. Great for him. Great for Chris. Bad for me. So, you know, it's just... it's interesting to me that so many people dislike the card and so many Crane players don't play it when it is just a solid, rock-solid card that just does work throughout the course of a game. People are talking about splashing Crab into Dragon for the Seeker Blade, and half of that reason is that fucking Seeker Blade just blanks provinces. So I don't understand, or holding provinces? Provinces. So I don't understand the inclination to not want to do that. So he pays 2 more for a Wayfinder just to get another free ring. Since my characters are all bowed now, he's just going to do a ring of his choice. So let's find out what he does. He's taking his sweet time. Oh, well, okay. Interesting. So, oh yeah, I remember. So he said, like, oh, I must have accidentally passed my conflict. And I was like, why don't you just, like, play a ring, like, click on a ring, and then just move the guy into a conflict, then we can just, like, do a manual version of it. But for some reason, he just decided, like, no, let's just play it. It's fine. Somehow I passed my opportunity to do a conflict. And he just said, like, you know, okay, I made a mistake. I messed up. Let's just keep going. Which, again, Jigoku, like, guys, I understand that it's good to have this automation and everything like that, but create a workaround. Like an undo button. Do like an undo button would be fantastic. Or something like that. So, Staunch Cheetah, I have 1 of them in my deck, and I'm not a fan. A 2-dash, you know, only can defend in a conflict that I already don't care, that I already am pretty good at winning. Just don't like it that much. I don't like the card that much, but I'll play it for this round. I think it's definitely coming out once the Stoic Magistrate is released, which it should be by now. I'd have to check. So he plays Otaru with a bunch of fate, and then I just pass. I have 3 fate. I go to 4 fate. I'm happy to do that. I have fate advantage. I have honor advantage. My board state is fine. He has 6 honor, 3 fate, and 6 cards in hand. And then I just bid 5. I want to see a conflict card. I want to see a conflict character in my hand. Or a Way of the Crab. Because like I said, remember, Way of the Crab, cards going away at the end of the round, Hotaru's just sitting there. The Staunch Cheetah would be fantastic for Way of the Crab, right? I didn't see one, which is annoying. I didn't see a conflict card, a character. I didn't see a Way of the Crab. Just sad days for me. But I got some good cards, so it's not like it's not all for naught. I got some good little cards in that hand right there. So I am first player. I have to decide how I want to attack. He sacrifices Storehouse to draw a card. At this point, we have 9 spectators. I think I'm just passing though here. I've not yet seen any of his conflicts or any of his provinces because he blanked me last round. So I'm just going to go and just dig in, see what I hit. And it was a fertile manicured garden. So that's fine. He gets another fate. He gets another fate. Secret Bear is so good. At this point, we're saying, like, man, Secret Bear is just bonkers good. You just get so many resources just from your opponent attacking you. So he's getting a bunch of fate all the time. I'm doing fire so I can dishonor Hotaru, so that, well, I wasn't sure. I think I was trying to make the decision, should I dishonor Hotaru now, or should I honor one of my guys so that I can turn off Voice of Honor? Because he might have one way of the crane, but he probably doesn't have two way of the cranes. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to captive audience his attack with Hotaru. So I want to make sure that I, at the very least, either had more honored characters than him, or I had his Hotaru dishonored. So now I'm just doing my charge things, messing around with my cards. I have favorable ground, so I can send someone home, which I do, which is nice. And then I think at this point he's assassinating my Stanchita, which he's down to 5 honor now. I think that was his second assassinate. Yeah, he played 2 assassinates. Then he charges in his defender, which that's fine. I bonsai my guy, Shuichi, and then I break, resolve the ring, and then I do dishonor Hotaru. If he has a way of the crane, it'll only get her back up to non-honorable, so I can still captive audience him. So I wasn't all that concerned. I put a fan on the Witch Hunter so his stronghold can't bow her, so I can do something else my first round, i.e. captive audience. I have captive audience, I have Mountain Does Not Fall, I have assassinations. So here we go again. He's going with a cautious scout, attacking with a cautious scout, and he flips Route of the Cause and just blanks Route of the Cause. So Route of the Cause is a garbage piece of shit, nothing, nonsense, bullshit card now. Which, like I said, don't understand why people don't like cautious scout. Guy's fucking incredible. Alright. So now I have a decision to make. If I defend with just the Steadfast Witch Hunter and he has admit defeat, then I'm just annoyed. So I think I'm just gonna assassinate that guy. Like, fuck that guy. Get him out of here. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. Your stupid stopping Round of the Cause bullshit. Then he plays a Steward of Law. No, he ends up not. He chooses not to play Steward of Law, which is fine. Fine either way. So now it's my conflict to declare. He plays a political rival, which is funny because I have this captive audience in my hand. So if he does decide to defend with the political rival on my political attack, I can just make it offense. I can make it military, and then the political rival goes home. So I'm feeling pretty happy about that. I'm looking, just making sure, like, do I know what I have for my rebuild? And then I do a void. Yeah, void there. Hit Shameful Display. I was expecting to defend with Hotaru, so that he could re-honor her. But he ends up deciding to just defend with that guy. So it's a shame that I hit Shameful Display because it gave him the ability to honor his characters. If I had chosen... Hold on, I'll pause this. So if I had chosen to honor one of my characters instead of dishonoring his character... No, I guess it wouldn't have mattered because he would have just sent my honor guy back down to normal status, and he still would have had the Voice of Honor. So, yeah, so I captive audience, he Voice of Honored. Oh, sorry. First, what I did was first I court gamesed him to make him lose his honor token, and then he Voice of Honored. And I was like, alright, he probably has a second one, but if, in the case that he doesn't, I'm going to captive audience, and he had his second Voice of Honor. So I got 2 Voice of Honors out of his hand in a row, which I'm not unhappy about at all. At this point, he has... Is it no fate? I'm sorry for this again. I wanted to move that hand up. I should have. Yeah, he has 0 fate. So now I'm like trying to see how I can win this conflict. I'm we do fan to fan, which is fine. And then I decide like, hey, that rebuild that I had, I'm going to rebuild the favorable ground. And then just bounce the fuck out of this conflict. You know? Don't even deal with it. I have 6 fate going into the next round. He has 0 fate. I have 3 cards. I have double reprieve. Mountain does not fall. I'm feeling really good about this whole thing. So he goes political earth. I defend with my 6 to his 4. And then I think he court games himself or something like that. Yeah, he court games his character to make her non-dishonored again. It's like it's so hard to keep Crane characters dishonored. So I realize I'm losing this Earth Ring, so I'm just going to play cards out of my hand to keep characters around. So that now he has the double Earth Ring, but he only discards 1 card out of my hand instead of 2. And it was amount does not fall. I briefly considered just playing it on my character, but then I realized like, oh, I don't have any conflicts left, so it doesn't matter if he's standing anymore. So anyway, yeah, that all happens. His Doji Challenger goes away. I save Shuichi, and then he has Hotaru and Political Rival. I don't have a hand. I have 11 Fate, but it still feels relatively good. I have the Shurisuke for card draw, I have the Envoy for card draw, and I have that Holding for card draw, so I can draw plenty of cards this round if I really want to. He passed, so I'm just going to empty out my hand. I draw 1 card, 0 Fate. The Goblin Sneak doesn't help me here, but I have plenty of ways to draw more cards. And my board is huge at this point compared to his relatively small board. And he's doing, what is it? Political conflict? Big old political. And he stealths the Witch Hunter, which I'm okay with that. He's doing a Fire Ring. So, it's like, we've been here before, right? We fucking been here before. Fucking Noble Sacrifice is in play. He's got this nothing card that he can sacrifice at the end of this, whenever he wants to kill a dishonored guy. Luckily, Steadfast Witch Hunter has a reprieve on him, so I don't have to worry about him dying. But I do have to worry about whoever he is Fire Ringing dying. So I want to defend. I briefly thought about like I could defend with Shuichi, and this guy, and then get a Fate, get a card draw with him, then draw a card immediately. But he's attacking with the Doji Challenger, and I'm like, he's just going to drag another guy in. So if I'm defending with 2 guys, he's dragging a 3rd guy in, and then I'm in trouble. So I just wanted to defend with 1 guy, the guy that lets me draw cards. And I draw cards, and it's like, oh, it's a Way of the Crab. Hey, look at that. Once again, I could maybe void his Hotaru, and then Way of the Crab his Doji Challenger. That would be nice. So, let's see here. He does his Stronghold. Kasada cancels it. And now I'm just like, I'm ready to go. Like, just do your worst. Fine, I accept the fate. But then what he does is he Doji challenges in Kaiju Shuichi. Which is like, oh, well, that's good. So I gain the fate from Shuichi, because I have a holding in play. Then I discard the Imperial Storehouse. And I top deck a reprieve. So it's like, bam! Top deck a reprieve. I'm going to play this shit on Hidekasada right now, because I know that he's doing the Noble Sacrifice. And he's just like, no! Your bullshit deck, why did I do this? And, he was having a good time with it, but at the same time, it was just like, he was so frustrated. He was so frustrated. So I sacrifice my my envoy to stand Shuichi at this point. Since both of my Dishonor guys have reprieves on him, he can no longer noble sacrifice anybody. Or if he did, it would just be removing the reprieve instead of the actual character. Or, yeah, the actual character. So I stand Shuichi with the Kaio Envoy sacrifice from the Steadfast Witch Hunter. And at this point, Chris is kind of just on full tilt. He was distracted. I think his wife was making dinner, and she was asking, like, when are you going to be done with your stupid game? So he was talking to her a little bit and just a little distracted. Maybe why he decided to pull in Shuichi. He 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 insists that it was the right play to just pull in Shuichi at all time. Like, that's just something you do, is you pull in Shuichi. That's standard good play, which normally I'd agree with, but when you give your opponent a fate and a card for doing it, uh, it's probably still the right play. To be honest, it's probably still the right play. So I just full out Rage Bash one of his provinces. I do a Void. I remove the Void on Hitaru. I'm intending to weigh the crab with this guy once everyone goes away and the Doji Challenger is remaining. But then he plays a Steward of Law with one fate on him. That's two Steward of Laws in one round that he played. So that's three fate on characters that are 1/1, which is fine. That's okay. Um, so he's protected from the fate phase with the crab now, but at great cost to himself. So we go to the next round. He has this little guy, Doji Challenger. I have two, like a reprieved Kasada, a reprieved um, Witch Hunter, and this little envoy, or this little Yasuki. As well as I have one fate going in, 7 honor, and I'm feeling really good about this right now. Um, Heated Guardian, I buy that card with one fate. Maybe I can get away the crab next round. And then the Intimidating Hida with 2 fate, standard, and then I pass. So I get that fate from passing, which is nice. And then this is important. He didn't buy this Mia Mystic, which if he did have the Noble Sacrifice, which he says he does, he could have just played the Mia Mystic, sacrificed the Reprieve off of Kasada, and then did his Doji Challenger thing to kill him. It wouldn't have been a great trade, but it would have been an okay trade. If he had bought the Mia Mystic, I would have done fire to undishonor this guy. But, these are all plays that can be made. I play my 2 Spyglasses on him, and then I go Air for my keepers. Because why not? Oh, sorry, Earth. Used to be, yeah, Earth. So I do a big ol' Earth conflict. He chump challenges it. Honestly, the nice thing about Crane is that they don't stand all that much of a chance against you in military. So they just, a lot of times they'll just let you walk right in and destroy what they want, what they have. And I really like that because it makes getting to their stronghold pretty easy. So I think he force shamed Kasada down. So it's my 1 to his 1. And then at that point, it's just like, I could move someone else into the conflict, or I could just, win, get my keeper, draw a card, make him discard a card, and just move on with my life. I can get it next round. I can get it later. I have such a commanding board state at this point that it doesn't really matter that much. He's doing a political void to get rid of Kasada. Probably, maybe, I don't know. I don't know exactly why he's doing void. So I'm defending. I play Shude Yasuki. I see a Way of the Crab and a Captive Audience. Those are both great cards, but Captive Audience is just so good against Crane that I decide to do it. I've already seen 2 of his cancels this round, so I'm not really worried about it being canceled anymore. So if I ever get into a political conflict that I don't like, Captive Audience has got my back. So I'm winning this conflict because I mean, I may have overcommitted, but it's fine. It works. It's fine. I don't want him removing fate from my characters. I like having characters. I've only lost one province so far, so I have him, so I can just stand up. Uh, and I wanted to stand up my witch hunter. Stupid thing told me, like pick a character. So I picked the Hida Guardian or the Shuryusuki because that's who I wanted to sacrifice. But then it's like, all right, well now you have to sacrifice the Steadfast Witch Hunter. It's like, no, 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 no. I wanted to sacrifice that motherfucker to pick up the Witch Hunter. Like, come on, let's not be stupid here. So we had to go into manual mode and fix that. Again, Jigoku just being annoying, being a stupid little thing that makes you go through the stupid bullshit of life. So I'm doing a water ring. I have this like super tatted up Witch Hunter at this point, and I figure like, hey, why don't I just stand up my Kasada? That seems like a pretty good thing to do. Since he has a conflict coming in, and I might want to, have Kasada be good. But then at that point he conceded. I think he said like his wife was yelling at him to play. He mentioned that like he forgot to buy the Mii Mystic um, to get rid of the reprieve on Kasada to do the noble sacrifice thing. You know, that all is fine. He said he was distracted and he forgot to do it. That would have been a good play. I don't think it would have been like a game-ending play or a play that like changed the face of the game because I still had such a like. If you look at that board state again, I'm gonna have the Witch Hunter, Hida Guardian, Intimidating Hida, character, 3 more fate, and he's gonna have Asami and a little chump if he were to do that whole sacrifice the Doji Challenger thing. So it wasn't like it was going to make his day any better. I had just broken a second province. He was unable to break a second province. I had plenty of cards in hand. I had 9 cards in hand. And he says, yeah, if I bought the Mystic, I could have noble sacrificed Kasada. So I know that that would have been a good play, but I still think that this game was mine. So he ended up conceding, and I went 3-1 against him. Way of the Crab wasn't a huge factor, but you could tell very clearly he was making non-ideal plays to not get hit by it, like buying a Steward with 1 fate to protect his exposed Hotaru in the fate phase, things like that. So you know, there's an argument there that it doesn't happen to good players, is what he's trying to make the point of. But if my opponent is putting that much effort in playing that non-ideally just to stop the Way of the Crab, then I'm getting an enormous value out of it too. And if they ever don't play that way, if they just don't have the Steward Law in hand, or they don't have the fate required to do it, then they're screwed. So I see it as like I'm getting them coming and going. If they don't play around it, I fuck them. If they play around it, they're fucking themselves. So I know that he doesn't like the idea that Way of the Crab is like the end-all be-all of Crab, and I don't think that it is the end-all be-all, but it's definitely the most powerful card that we have in the conflict deck. And the existence of it is just as terrifying as the resolution of it. And I know that people will make the argument that that means you cannot run it and people will still play around it, but in the case that they don't, or in the case that you're playing for it and eventually get them in the situation, wouldn't you be mad if you didn't have it? Like, if you have a card that you're not playing, and there comes a situation where you're like consistently like, man, if I had that card, this would be amazing. You should probably be running that card. So, that said, that is all 4 games. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know that it was kind of annoying because I forgot in the last 2 games to move my hand and I was scrolling a little bit. I'm sorry about that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the games, and we'll see you next time. Bye.